And I feel like there's even more just continuing to come and come.
Yeah.
It's the quality of the content that matters as well. Like it felt like the pandemic definitely affected the quality of the content that's been coming out, because there was such a huge need for content that a lot of the time networks and the decision makers are going like, well, yes, it's not good enough, but we need it. We need to fill the space. We need people to continue to watch something. Let's go. And that's why you see a lot of the time so many cancellations, because, they throw money at making something. It doesn't take off, including the show that I was on in New York, massive budget, but didn't gel with the audience. Nobody watched it and got canceled, and was like, well, it's just part of the industry. It's part of what happens. Whether it was a great idea originally, it just wasn't executed in the right way. And so that's kind of seems to be an issue, like with the pandemic and also the writer's strike. Writer's strike, okay, well, there's picket lines every day, but then the writers come home and they still write. So then the writer's strike is over. They've got a whole bunch of scripts they can present and say, okay, listen, we can do this, we can do this, we can do that. And then depending on the mandate, the networks pick up, this project, this story, that story, and then sort of make it that way. And you're right, Daniel. Like the expectation was that the freight train of work is going to come through, but then ultimately everything ended up being funneled down.
Yeah.
Not only, you and I weren't employed, but also people at the top level weren't employed. So they kind of got the piece of the pie first, and then it kind of trickled down to everybody else, right? So
yeah,
that's kind of how it worked, but ultimately there's so much content out there and so much need for content as well, Like Showtime is now part of Paramount, right? So that's that network. But there's great shows continue to be made, like Yellowstone continues to be made, and a bunch of other shows continue to be made. But there's also a lot of shows that are like white noise. You just turn it on and you go cook your dinner. Nobody cares about what it's about. There's no message. It's just something's happening.